Good evening all, and a very warm welcome and to our online viewers on live webcast, YouTube and Facebook. For those of you who are coming for the first time, the safety measures in case of emergency, the exit is the same way as you came in. The water foundation is located on the landing if you need it. Okay, our theme this evening is the source of all powers, and in this event we are marking the festival of Shiv Ratri. Our guest speaker is BK Jasu Ladva. She will be addressing it shortly. Before the main talk, we bring you a dance on a Hindi song, Jhalak Tumhari, O Pyare Bhagwan. Now, she will give you the introduction to the song and the words herself before she actually performs, and it will be performed by Krishna. So before further ado, I invite Krishna to the stage, please.
Om Shanti everyone. Thank you for coming on our special occasion Shiv Ratri. My song represents that we are the instrument of God, and God is the doer. He protects us throughout our life. This song signifies love, devotion, and faith for God. Thank you.
झलक तुम्हारी जो प्यारे भगवन, पलक में भर के दिखा रहे हम, फलक से हम यही गा रहे, करारा वाला करारा है, करनहारा किए जा रहे। तुम्हारी जो प्यारे भगवन, पलक में भर के दिखा रहे हम, फलक से हम यही गा रहे, कराने वाला करा रहा, करनहार हम दिए जा रहे, करनहार हम दिए जा रहे। ओ झलक तुम्हारी जो प्यारे भगवन। प्रभु की पालना से तुम ही बने हो हमारे पालक।
That was beautiful. Thank you very much. Now, coming back to our topic of this event, I would like to say a few words about Sister Jasu. She has been a Raja Yoga meditation teacher for over 30 years and helps coordinate numerous programs in the European headquarters of Brahma Kumaris in London. She manages major events for both the university students and the general public. She uses the power of generosity and her personality to guide and empower those around her. So now I welcome Sister Jasu on the stage, and there will be an opportunity to end the talk and to ask questions. There will be answers, of course. And for our online viewers, they can send questions through YouTube chat. Thank you, Sister Jasu.
Good evening to everyone. And thank you, Krishna, for the beautiful dance. It was lovely, actually. And sorry it was cut short for you. You must have practiced all of it. No? Tonight it's our fortune to be celebrating the birthday of the one who is beyond birth and death. But he is our Father, and together with his birthday is our own birthday. So happy birthday to all of us. And I was just thinking, as we were listening to the song, if you want to know more about God, the eternal source of all powers, you just look at the song, and it's giving his introduction within the song. But three words that struck me as part of the whole song itself. The first verse, Jalak, Palak, and Falak. And so it was talking about having a glimpse of that one, having a vision of that one. How is it possible to have a vision who is without a body? He is said to be the incorporeal one, the bodiless one, the one who doesn't take birth through a body, and yet we are celebrating his birthday tonight. So I'll go into that in a minute, but the first word, giving a vision. So we're actually taking a vision, capturing it through our eyes, palak, and then sharing it with others with that intoxication, falak. Jalak, palak, and falak. And so it's so beautiful knowing God and sharing his introduction with that intoxication. One of the specialities of this festival, Shiv Ratri, on the path of devotion they call it Shiv Ratri, the night of Shiva, the time when he comes. At this time, in this eternal cycle, it's the time of night, and for those who have awoken, it's dawn. One of the things that people on the path of devotion do for the festival of Shiv Ratri, they call it Shiv Ratri, the night of Shiva. We call it Shiv Jayanti, the birthday of Shiva. But one of the things that they do is stay awake throughout the night. And everything that happens on the path of devotion is actually taken literally of what we do practically, and then they do all of that physically. We do it on a spiritual level, and is shown on the path of devotion on a physical level. Like for instance, one of the things associated with Shiv Ratri is staying awake through the night. And the story goes that a person who actually worships the Shiv Lingam, the image of Shiva, the oval image, because he's incorporeal, he doesn't take a body, and so he's represented by the oval image. A person who worships the Shiv Lingam on the night of Shiv Ratri, so that festival already exists anyway, and when they do it without any desires, without any motives for themselves, selflessly, and they stay awake through the night, then in the morning God is happy with them and God would grant them a blessing, a boon. So whatever they wanted would be granted. So there was this one devotee, he had gone out hunting. And while he was hunting, he got a bit tired, so he thought he'd just go and sleep on the tree, on the branch of a tree. So and looking for the prey because he wasn't finding anything. So he went, climbed the tree and he tried to sleep there, but of course he was looking for some prey, so he stayed awake through the night. But the tree happened to be one of those trees, which is actually, the leaves of which are used for worshipping Shiva. And just at the bottom of the tree was this Shiv Lingam. So while he was sleeping there, when he was moving around, the leaves would fall onto the Shiv Lingam. And whilst he was keeping an eye open for any kind of prey that would come, because he was out hunting, he couldn't sleep. And so throughout the night he stayed awake and he was worshipping the Shiv Lingam unknowingly. So in the morning, he was granted a boon, that God came and was happy with him that he had done all the worshipping, and so granted him a boon. So in the same way, we also stay awake through the night. But the awakening for us is not actually abstaining from having sleep. Because if you really think about it, then all human beings now are in a state of sleep. The world is in a state of darkness because it's the end of this cycle, and everything is like the night time for everyone. But for those who have awakened, it's the dawn. And so the whole world is actually in this sleep, the state of ignorance and the state of slumber, fully asleep. And so we have now awakened, and because of this awakening that's taken place, they have taken it to mean literally that we have to actually stay awake through the night. And so, having awoken ourselves, what is it that we need to do now? It's like we are now in the day, the dawn has just broken for us, so we are actually experiencing that light. But then for us to share that light, God, the incorporeal one, known as the oval image, and on that oval image there are the 3 lines shown. There's the 3 lines and the 1 dot. And the 3 lines actually signifying the 3 acts of God. What is it that God can do that we human beings cannot do? Every morning we have a discourse, and within that discourse, every day, we hear different things of what God does and what He doesn't do, and what He teaches us what we have to do. And within that, first and foremost, the most important thing for us to recognize is the role that He plays for us throughout the day. So in the morning, He is our Father, the Almighty Authority, and we take power from Him. We take power from Him so that throughout the day, whatever comes in our way, whatever crisis, whatever situations the power that we've taken from him in the morning helps us to resolve the situations, and you're not stuck in those situations. You feel empowered with the power that you've received, and so you can find a solution for whatever comes in front of you. Throughout the day, he is our teacher, and he's constantly teaching us. One of the lessons that he teaches us and reminds us constantly so that we're actually able to enjoy a life of happiness. Why we came into this state of sorrow? Because we forgot our own selves. So as the teacher, he introduces us to our own self. Who am I? Doesn't matter how long you've been studying this path of spirituality, within that this question always exists. And each day you will find a different answer. I am a soul. I am not this body. So the soul is connected with the Supreme Soul. We're here to celebrate the birthday of the Supreme Soul, meaning his incarnation. I mentioned that he is beyond birth, and yet we're celebrating his birthday. So how can we celebrate the birthday of someone who doesn't take birth? He actually incarnates. He takes the support of matter, takes the support of another body, and through that he communicates with us. And throughout the day, as the teacher, he's communicating with us and teaching us. Why does he need to teach us? Because we've forgotten our own selves. At one point, we are all very happy beings. And yet, at this point in time, it's very difficult to find a person who's constantly happy. Happy sometimes because of their situations they're in, happy because they've forgotten all their crises and everything, and that's momentary happiness. Once they remember where they are, what situation they're facing, then the happiness is lost. But God, as our teacher, then teaches us how we can be in this state of constant happiness by being aware of our own true self, the soul, the point of light. God himself is known as Jyoti Bindu, and then we say he is Gunaka Sindhu, the ocean of virtues. If you look at praise of human beings, it's limited praise, because human beings go through different states. At one point they're up there, the next moment they'll be down here, constantly changing, constant fluctuation. But for God, we say he is Sadashiva. We call God Shiva, meaning the point. Shiva means a point. But we also say Shiva is the benefactor. So God is the benefactor, and he cannot bear to see his children suffering. And so he comes down specially for us to remove our suffering. So he's known as the remover of sorrow and the bestower of happiness. This morning, we were lucky to be having Sister Sudesh with us in our morning class. And then she was explaining something, and I found it quite interesting. And in one of our lessons, it was talking about how God is remembered with so many different names. In different religions, people have different names for God. And it's the one being, but he is known by so many different names. And the practical example that she gave was a person by the name of Shyamlal Sharma. The person doesn't exist, but she just mentioned the name. And so someone would know him as Shyamlal. Another person would know him as Mr. Sharma. Another person would know him as his occupation. He is a lawyer or he is a judge, so whatever his lawyer was, whatever his profession was, he would be known by that profession. But the being is the same person, but that one person has so many different names according to his relationships with others and according to his profession. And so in the same way, God is the one being. People from different religions remember God in their own way. Some remember him as light, some remember him as peace, some remember him as love. All of these are his qualities, and he is the ocean of all of these qualities. Means he never diminishes. He's always the state of love, he's always the state of peace, always blissful. This is why we speak of God as Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Satyam being the truth, God is truth. And so truly, the one who is the truth enables the age of truth, Satyug, to come. He is the one who establishes the age of truth. So in that sense, one of his acts, the first act is creation, establishment. And then once that's been established, then it has to be sustained. And so he gets that sustained through the one whose support he took to create it. So the one who was used for the creation is then made the instrument to look after it also, to sustain it. And so for us, we spoke of Brahma being the one through whom God created. Then that one becomes Vishnu. Through him, he supports and sustains that world, the world that was created, the world of happiness that was created. And before that world can be created, he has to destroy the old world, the world of sorrow, which is no good to anyone. Everyone is suffering in this world of darkness. It's the world of Kali Yuga, the world of sorrow and suffering. And so that world has to be destroyed. And so the three acts of God we speak about is the creator, the operator, the creator being the generator, the operator, and the destroyer. And so when we speak of God, G-O-D, then this is who he is. The generator, the one who creates the new world, the operator who sustains it through this divine being, that image that we have, Vishnu. And Vishnu is shown with the 4 arms, symbolic of the family path, 2 of male and 2 of woman, the 2 together looking after the family. So it's a family path. And this is why we don't practice renunciation of leaving the homes and going into the jungle and everything, but staying at home and doing everything. And then destruction, the one who carries out the destruction. On the path of devotion, they talk about Shankar, and they've got these 2 mixed also. Shankar is the great deity, they call him Mahadev, and Shiva is the point of light. And yet they've confused the 2 of them together, Shiv and Mahadev, saying that they're one and the same. Shiva is a point of light who has no form, and Shankar is Mahadev, who has the form of a human being. And yet they have mixed the 2 together, saying it's one and the same. But one of the things that they've said of Shankar on the path of devotion is that when he opens his 3rd eye, destruction then takes place. When I was talking about the eternal awakening, I spoke about the awakening and staying up through the night. For us, the awakening takes place when our 3rd eye opens. Our 3rd eye has now opened because we are aware of ourselves as spiritual beings. Until now, we was only thinking of ourselves as the physical beings and this physical body. And now I'm aware that I am this spiritual being, the being of light. And so talking about the body is made of matter, here today, gone tomorrow. When a person dies and is cremated, it's ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and so there's no trace left of the person. But there is something that's carried on, that moves on, because of the eternal state of the soul. And so what is it that goes? This point of light that leaves this body, that continues, goes into another body. And so when the awakening takes place, when the 3rd eye is open, when I become aware of myself as this point of light, then I'm able to actually remove all the things that had caused me a lot of sorrow and suffering. Just now when I entered the shop here downstairs, Sister Nidhi took me downstairs to the shop and she was showing me all the things that they have down there, and my eye caught this stone. It's a beautiful stone with some calligraphy on it. The first time I was seeing it, so she said, if you like it, you take it. But then I was interested to read on it. It says, Calligraphy Stone is a very popular healing stone known for its intricate calligraphy style patterns. The stone symbolizes spiritual awakening, the manifestation of dreams, creativity, joy, and tranquility. The calligraphy stone is associated with the third eye, sacral, and the solar plexus chakras. So I was just interested by just mentioning just the awakening of the third eye. So I said, I'll take this and I'll read it out upstairs. But just interesting how it's connected with all the positive qualities. It's the manifestation of your dreams, your creativity, the joy and tranquility. So just imagine a stone being able to convey all of these things because it's got a design on it. And so just think what you can do with your own mind, the kind of things that you can create within your own mind, the creativity that you can actually display in thought form, in word form, through your actions, whatever. Just like we saw the beautiful dance, that was also a part of creativity. And so the creativity that all of us have within ourselves, where has it all come from? The song was actually talking about, I am just an instrument. The Creator is that one. He is giving me all the inspirations. All the inspirations coming to me are from Him. I am just the instrument and the puppet. He's making me dance. So I'm dancing to His tune. He's my master. And in that way, being the beautiful instrument that He's made all of us, each and every one has a beautiful speciality. To be able to recognize the speciality of oneself and then to use it. You use it and you increase it. You don't use it and you lose it. And so do I want to lose what I've got? He is the one who is doing and inspiring. Again, the song was talking about that. Karane wala kara raha hai. The one who is doing everything is inspiring. On the path of devotion, they say God is the one who is making every leaf of the tree move. Every leaf of the tree is moving according to His dictates. But God was saying, why do I need to do all of these things? I want you to enjoy everything. So He inspires us to do everything. So He tells us what to do and then we do it. Because the one who does something receives the credit for it. On the one hand, we say God is omnipresent. People on the path of devotion say God is omnipresent. He is everywhere. If He were everywhere, how could I have a relationship with Him? Because He's just one being, but He is the most powerful being, I'm able to have a relationship with Him. And because He is the most powerful one, when I keep His company with myself, through my thoughts in my mind, then I'm able to actually experience the almightiness of His in everything that I'm doing. Then I don't feel that I am doing it. Even though I will be the credit, I will be receiving the credit of what I'm doing. Again, one of the songs of the path of devotion talks about, and we had that in one of our lessons recently, apne aap sabhi kuch karke apne aap chipaya. The one who does everything himself and yet hides himself away. So the reason why people are not able to recognize God coming is because He comes in a very incognito form. A point of light coming into another one's body, and there's no splendor or no display. Normally you think of God, and God is this divine being with so much jewelry and so much ornaments and everything. And if a person doesn't have all of that, you wouldn't think of that person as being God, or God even using that body for His work. And so because He comes in that form, no one recognizes Him. But he is the one who's doing everything and then hides himself away, because he is the egoless one. And this is what he teaches us. The 3 words that he's taught us very practically, and that makes us into a divine being, enabling us to reach our highest stage of perfection, being incorporeal, so that I let go of the body, I'm able to be detached from the body and connect with him, because I can only connect with him when I become the same as he is. 2 different things cannot connect. It's only when the 2 are the same that you can merge the 2, they can become the same. So he is incorporeal all the time, but I am incorporeal only when I forget the consciousness of this body. So he teaches us to be incorporeal, and then becoming egoless. He is the one, he is egoless, and he's teaching me to be egoless. Because all the sorrow and suffering that I'm experiencing in life is because of the ego that I'm carrying. Not just of this one birth, but of many births. The ego that comes from doing something, that I am the one who can do this. But truly, I am the one who is not able to do anything. Without him, I cannot do anything. Just as at this point of the cycle, he cannot do anything without all of us, because he needs our support. He needs the support of matter. And then third, being viceless, that we become completely free from all negativity, all vices. So when we're able to become free of all of these things, then we're able to come to our perfect state, the state of perfection, and that is symbolized by the state of Vishnu, the image of Vishnu. That there is total harmony, total balance between both the male and the female energies. In fact, the soul, same as the Supreme Soul, but the Supreme Soul doesn't take a body, so it doesn't apply to him. But the soul has both male and female energies within it. This is why sometimes you find the male energy of someone being very arrogant in something. Even a lady can sometimes be very arrogant. On the other hand, you find the male person having the qualities of gentleness and softness, being caring and that kind of quality. So the soul itself, being beyond gender, being beyond male and female, is actually able to have both kinds of qualities of male, both energies of the male and the female. And so the symbol of perfection being Vishnu, that is God's creation. So God actually incarnates at this time in this world of darkness to bring about light. The awakening of the third eye, bringing us that light, so that we're then able to see our future. We're able to see where is it that we actually need to end up on our journey. The journey is going through the darkness, but then at the end of the tunnel, there's always light. And so for us, when we come out of this tunnel of darkness, when we come out of this iron age, we'll then come into this world of light, the golden aged world. So God has come down to create that beautiful world for us at this time. So how lucky we are to be able to witness the creation of such a world. God being the highest authority. He is so concerned for me that I do not hold on to anything negative, that I become the purest being, the divine being, so that I'm actually able to enjoy this life of happiness. And for that, He is constantly teaching me and guiding me. Again, one of the lessons that we had this afternoon, I was talking about how God is so much concerned for all of us that He has been giving this spiritual material to us. Every morning we receive something to read, and then we keep that in our minds throughout the day. But it's not just for 1 day or 2 days that He's giving that to us, but He's been giving that to us since so many years, so that we're able to keep all of that, the nectar of knowledge, in our intellects, so that all the rubbish that we've accumulated over so many births can be removed. All the rubbish that's already accumulated in there, once that's removed, by keeping the nectar of knowledge in our intellects, the rubbish is removed, And then we can come back to that state of awakening, being there all the time, not just for a few moments or a few seconds. For us, this is meditation is not just for 1 hour or 2 hours, but it's a way of life. You normally experience a way of life within the whole family, and throughout the day, the whole day, 24 hours, you're spending time with your family, with the parents, constantly being together. And so for myself also, to keep myself in the company of the Supreme, the Divine Being, and being in His company, I am constantly colored by His influence. Then I don't get influenced by everything around myself. Again, one of the things was the protection that comes to us. God is our protector. And so when we are in a state of crisis, remembering Him, He will be able to touch your intellect in such a way that you will know what you need to do at that very moment. God is a very beautiful entertainer also. So many different qualifications of God, so many different occupations of God. And I'm just remembering one story of one brother who was in New York, our senior brother, one of our senior brothers, Jagdish Bhai. He had gone to New York, and one evening he was late back from a program, and so he was traveling on the underground, the metro over there. And he went through one of the streets where it was quite dark, and it's probably not a safe street at that time. So he went through there, but then he was stopped by a few people. And they were going to kind of mug him, and they wanted something from him, but he said he had nothing anyway. But then his mind was touched by something, and he just out of the blue, just imagine you standing in front of 3 or 4 people who are about to mug you, and you don't have anything on you, but how do you fight them? How do you square them away? And suddenly he says, because he's come from India, he says, "Do you know any Indian dancing?" And those people said no. And it's surprising to think of dancing in a moment like this. And they're saying, "No, we don't know any of that Indian dancing. Perhaps you can show." And he goes, "Would you like me to show you?" And they said, "Okay." So he said, "Okay, I'll show you how they do the dancing." So then he started dancing. And because he was dancing, then those people's attraction, their attention was drawn away, diverted from what they wanted to do, and they got lost in the dancing. But in the dancing, this brother, showing them the different moves of dancing, he danced away from them, and then he just ran away from there. So it was the creativity and the intellect being touched at that time that this is what I must do. So in situations like that, God touches your intellect because He's our protector. So He touches your intellect as to what you must do, and that can only be possible if I am connected with Him. Otherwise, He can give me a signal, but I wouldn't be able to catch it. And so being able to catch that signal and then follow it through so that you're able to save yourself. Otherwise, there might be some people who are so arrogant who say, even when someone comes in front of them, they'll say, "No, I'm calling out to God, I'm praying to God, God is going to send me help." God has already sent you help, but you don't recognize it as coming from God, and so you discard it and you don't accept it. Then you wait for a second person. God sends a person second time also, and still you do the same thing. At the end, when you have to go up to God and then you ask God, "God, I asked for help so many times and you didn't do anything to help me." God would say, "I sent him in this form, I came to you in this form, I came to you in this form, but you didn't recognize me." Why didn't I recognize? Because my eyes were shut. I was in this state of arrogance, of ego, so I wasn't able to recognize God coming in an incognito form. So God can come in any form. So the beauty of God is to be able to connect with us human beings on a level whereby we're able to take from Him everything that He has to offer. And what is it that God has to offer? It's not the cars or the houses or the mansions. It's not the diamonds and jewels, but the knowledge that He has. God is said to be the ocean of knowledge. And the knowledge then becomes our source of income. Because every point of knowledge, just one point, even just this one point, I, the soul, am a point of light, is worth millions. If I remember myself as a point of light, And I practice that awareness throughout the day. Constantly practicing this, the personality that I develop through this practice going to change me from this human being who is full of sorrow and suffering into a person who is a very good being, a person who is pure and positive, a person who is able to deal with everyone with that divine energy. And this in itself will bring me all the wealth that I need. I don't need the physical wealth. I need the wealth of knowledge. This knowledge will then be transformed when I go into this beautiful age that is being created, the golden age, Satyug. In that age, all the knowledge that I have taken in here, received from the ocean of knowledge, that will then be transformed into the jewels and diamonds. But at that time, I won't need it. At that time, I'm living in a state of happiness. So just being thankful to God for giving me the awareness of myself as who I truly am, so that I'm able to come away from this prison. This body is a prison. Come away from this prison and feel that liberation of the soul, being completely free from the arrogance of the body, the ego of the body. This body, made of matter, diminishing with the matter, but the thing that remains is this beautiful energy, the soul. And so at this time, the awakening through the Shiv Jayanti, awakening of God coming down and reminding me of who I am, being able to celebrate this. So my life becomes a celebration. It's no longer a life filled with sorrow and suffering, but a celebration of joy and happiness. And so tonight we're here together to celebrate the birthday of all of us. And so it's such a beautiful opportunity to remind ourselves of who we truly are, that we are those divine beings. And just imagine, if you see the images of the deities, they are perfect, respectful, divine beings. They never speak ill of anyone. They never think ill of anyone. And they have lived at one point, but the memories of those deities is even today so powerful that when people go to the temples and they think of those divine beings as God, but when they go in front of those idols and they remember and they lay out all their sorrows and sufferings, they receive so much power just from those images. So just imagine how powerful those beings would have been when they were living in reality. And I am actually receiving that power from the Almighty Authority, whose birthday we are celebrating today. So keeping connection with Him, being in His company, knowing myself to be His child so that I have a right to everything of His. I don't need to be begging for it. On the path of devotion, they're constantly begging. You do this for me and I'll do this for you. They say when this thing is accomplished for me, when this thing works out for me, if I pass my exams, then I'll offer you 10 coconuts, or I'll offer you the plate of a barfi or toli or something. So it's become a kind of business that God does something for you and you offer something to God in return. But in fact, God doesn't want anything from me except just my pure love. And this is the spiritual love, not the physical love that we know that people connect with the physical beings, but the pure spiritual love. So this is our eternal bond with that eternal being, the one who is the source of all powers. And so not only Himself, but He is making all of us like that also. He Himself is the Almighty Authority, but He is making all of us into the Master Almighty Authorities too. And again, one of the lessons Baba being God, our Father, He taught us was, if you are the Master Almighty Authority, you are the world transformer, how come you cannot transform yourself? What I am now, sometimes I feel I can't do this, I can't change myself because I've got this habit over so many years. I mean, I can't remember what I was in the previous birth, but in this present birth, however old the body is, in that you say, well, I've been struggling with this particular thing for so long and I'm not able to overcome it. But if I say that I'm a child of the Almighty Authority, then definitely I have the power to be able to change that. And so transformation comes easily. Now we are in this age of transformation where we're transforming not only ourselves with our vision and our attitude to be able to transform others around myself also. Because I then have so much power within myself that I'm able to share that power with others. I'm able to inspire others with that transformation. Seeing my transformation, then others become inspired also. And so when we generally celebrate a birthday, we give greetings, we give good wishes, we give blessings. And so for myself, the blessing that I like to share with all of you is, may you all find your power within yourself to be able to let go of whatever it is that might be creating any kind of hindrance to your experiencing a life of constant happiness. Because God, the ocean of happiness, doesn't want us to be suffering. He wants to see us being happy all the time. A father would never be happy seeing his children suffering. And so God is wanting to see all of us happy also. So just as He is Sada Shiv, the constant benefactor, He wants to see us Sada Kush, constantly happy. And so may you always, always remain very happy. Happy birthday to each and every one. Om Shanti.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you for enlightening us into the awareness. And yes, we too, with God's blessings, pass you the same good wishes today. Okay, so I think we are ready for questions. First of all, I would like to know who is here for the first time. Is there anybody coming here for the first time? No, so you are aware. Okay, so anybody got any questions? No, everybody's content?
Questions?
Okay, I think Sister Nidhi has something to say.
We've got a questions from the online viewers, and they say that when you talk about constant happiness and connecting to the eternal source, so how do you incorporate that into day-to-day life when we want to be happy, but there is this constant underlining sadness because of past experiences and other stuff? So what is the trick?
Again, coming back to the lesson that we had this afternoon, and this was explained very beautifully by Sister Jayanti, how the deities are the only beings that are truly mindful, in the sense that they are not living in the past, not living by constantly remembering the things of the past, and not worrying about the future. Because they are enjoying the present moment, then they're not worried about what is to come in the future. If I'm constantly remembering whatever happened in the past, then I'm not allowing myself to be happy. All I have to do is put a full stop to whatever happened in the past, because otherwise what I'm doing is reliving the same experience over and over again. And that is not actually being sensible. Something has happened, it's happened once, it's over and done with. But what I'm doing is constantly repeating that in my mind and reliving the same experience over and over again. So the hurt or the suffering that I experience from that was meant to be only once, but I keep on increasing it. Instead, if I put a full stop and just forget it, then I'm able to live my life from there on, having forgotten that incident. Sometimes an incident takes place for me to learn a lesson. So let me just learn the lesson from that instrument and then move on. But what tends to happen is I keep on remembering that incident because I haven't learned the lesson. And because I keep on remembering it, I keep on going through the same hurt again and again. And what's happening is I'm actually increasing the hurt within myself. And so for me to be able to let go, I put a full stop to whatever it was that had caused me the hurt and move on from there. then having happy memories in my mind, having happy thoughts in my mind, I'll be able to forget whatever had happened. It's as though it never happened. And then I'll be able to move on with happiness, because I'm actually making sure that my mind is remaining constantly happy. But if I just hold on to what's happened in the past and don't allow myself to move on, then it's actually not going to help me. And so learning to put the full stop. Often what happens is I put a comma or I put a question mark. Again, when we said any questions, and then as remembering what Baba had said about questions, there's always why and what and how about anyone else. I'm not thinking about myself, but I'm thinking about others. Why should I worry about others? All I have to be concerned about is myself. And once I've got myself in a good state, then I'll be able to help others also. But if I haven't got myself sorted out, then I won't be in any position to help anyone else. And so for me to keep my mind in that state of happiness, to let go of whatever has happened, if it might have been someone hurting me, let me forgive them, let me forget and forgive. This was one of the very powerful lessons that we had learned from our head, Daddy Janki, who passed away a couple of years ago. But she always used to talk about whatever's happened, forget it, just put a full stop. She was a perfect example of living in the now. And so for us to be living in the now, not constantly to be repeating whatever has happened, then you'll be able to keep yourself happy. Otherwise, there are things that are happening in front of you which can make you happy, but you're stopping yourself from experiencing that happiness because you are just constantly holding on to the past. So not to cling on to the past at all, but to move on by enjoying the present moment. Yes? Yes.
I'd like to ask a question. It's not necessarily... Thank you. It's sort of a question, and it's advice as well, really. I mean, I understood everything that you were saying in the talk, but at the moment, I'm really, really, really struggling with my sister. It's happening. It's not the past. It's right now. Just before I even came here tonight, I've been taking care of my mother with her for like 2 years, and she's making life very, very, very difficult. She drinks, and she's just very angry and bitter and not taking the responsibility she should be. And I can't be with Mum all the time. I need her to take some responsibility. She's like angry, bitter, resentful, you know, all kinds of things are going on in her life, and I'm having to deal with this, and I've had to really, it's been really bad for the past year on a daily basis, and I'm worn down by it, and I don't know what to do. When I spun that wheel, it actually came onto right in the middle of peace and love. And I'm trying to send out love or whatever, but I am really struggling with it, and it's a very difficult situation, and it is happening right now. So I don't know how long it will go on, because I don't know how long my mum will be with us. And I'm not sure, I feel at breaking point. I don't know how to cope with it anymore, really. So I don't know if you can give me some help with that.
Again, I'm just remembering something that Sister Jayanti mentioned, and it was talking about the whole lesson for us was about attitude. Again, connected with this Shiv Ratri festival, we're talking about fasting, and we're talking about the word for fasting is vrat, and that comes from vritti, which is attitude. And she was then talking about this whole thing about attitude. And then she related an example of something that had happened in her own life. And she was struggling with another person, and it was always like whenever she had to come in relationship with this person, there was always some kind of conflict. And then she was thinking, why is it that this happens with this particular person all the time? And then she decided that she would do something. She might have heard something, I don't know, something to do with the attitude. But then she decided to check her own attitude. And then when she looked inside, then she realized that it was because of some past experience with this person that had left an imprint on her. And because of that, her attitude towards this person had become such. So even though she wasn't aware of it consciously, subconsciously this attitude was coming up. And so she then worked on herself, on her attitude, and clearing the attitude in such a way that she's completely allowing whatever had happened in the past to be forgotten, using the power of meditation, the power of yoga. And with that, and then she said, I don't know what the other person might have done or might not have done, I don't know. But the next time she met that person, it was a very beautiful, smooth relationship. And she felt it was because she had worked on herself in this way and changed her attitude towards the person. I'm not suggesting there's anything wrong with your attitude or whatever, but sometimes it helps for us to change our way of thinking also. And yes, we have that love and peace within ourselves also, but just taking one extra step and allowing, she may be going through her own turmoils also, and that's why she's drinking and trying to forget and everything else. Because generally people turn to drinking and smoking because they can't face life. They want to get away from everything, and this is a way of forgetting everything, and so turning to that. So instead of that, maybe just sharing some of your happy moments with her when she's in a lighter mood, then it might change her mindset in a way also. And I'm sure she also, like myself, I believe that the gift that we have received from our parents, the life that we have received, there's nothing that we can do to compensate in order to give a return to them. And so whatever we do is very little. And so making your sister realize that she also has a responsibility, a duty. So when she's in a clearer mood, when she's not drunk or anything, and then to be able to make her realize something like that, I think that would be helpful. But in a subtle way, if you just meditate, sending pure positive vibrations to that soul, your mom anyway, because she's in this bad illness state, but to your sister also, because physically she's maybe okay, but mentally she's not. And so just giving those pure vibrations, that will help you also, because all the time you are thinking that she should be doing this and she should be doing that, your mind is accumulating negative energy. But instead, if you just think, let me just be positive and send positive vibrations, that will help yourself, it will help the other person also. And then you see the situation may change. I hope that helps. That's your birthday gift from today. Okay. I think we've gone past our time. I don't think there's any more questions.
So before we end today's event, I do have a few announcements to make. There will be further Tuesday talks, and the topics will be, the first one will be patience, good things take time. That will be on the 8th of March. And the second one will be generosity of time on 15th of March, same time. There will be a meditation session carried out on Mondays and Thursdays from 7 to 7:30 p.m. here. And there is a Gujarati Raj Yoga meditation course starting from tomorrow here. And will continue every Wednesdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Sorry? It is online, yes. Sorry about that. And I think I've rounded up everything. Now comes to the main important thing, Toli. We have a sweet, today's Supreme Soul's birthday and our birthday as well, so obviously we cannot go away without sweetening our mouth. So there will be a sweet given to everybody, which we call Toli, and blessings with it from the Supreme. So if you would all please come one by one and take it from
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And oh yes, there is one more, sorry about that. Just one last thing. There is this, the shop is open downstairs, as you all know, and if you would like to go and have a look. But I would like to point this book out. It's called God's Healing Power, Finding Your True Self Through Meditation. and improve your life by connecting with the divine's healing power. If you would like this book, it will be available downstairs. Thank you.
Bimit?
शिव की प्रीत ने सिखलाया सबसे प्रीत निभाना, सबसे प्रीत निभाना। सारी दुनिया अपनी है, अब कोई नहीं बेगाना, सबसे प्रीत निभाना, सबसे सबसे प्रीत निभाना। शिव की प्रीत ने सिखलाया सबसे प्रीत निभाना, सबसे प्रीत निभाना। शिव की प्रीत ने सिखलाया